In the early 2000s, reality television became mainstream, highlighting society's obsession with interpersonal drama and forever changing the entertainment supplied by traditional and modern media. In these years, networks were pumping out shows that would get people talking. Survivor, The Simple Life, America's Next Top Model. The list of reality shows went on, and yet in a sea of trash TV, one show managed to stand out: Kitchen Nightmares. To call the show loved would be an understatement, because it transcended the impact of the average television show and eventually became a part of online culture.
Hello, my name's Nino!
But even with all of this success, nothing was able to save Kitchen Nightmares from its impending fate. To analyze the show's sudden demise, we need to start at the beginning. Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares first premiered in 2004, and at the time, the show was only UK-based. Unlike most entertainment today, the episodes were slow-paced and intimate. You'd get to understand the restaurant staff better and view them as people rather than characters. The show largely focused on how restaurants should run and why the ones featured were failing. It was almost like a case study, and the audience was able to develop an appreciation for the effort it takes to run a restaurant, which the average person probably doesn't think too much about. While mentoring, Gordon Ramsay gives tough love. He's very blunt, he's got very dry humor, and the show displayed this aspect of his personality, but it didn't seem to amplify it or play into it that much.
Right, are you gonna tone your voice down, or are you gonna shout like some d***?
I'll shout like some d*** and then I'll calm down.
Right.
Now I've shouted.
Well, why don't you off to the bookshop, read How to Cook a Mussel, and come back and see me.
Yeah, okay.
And I'll run your restaurant.
Thank you.
Plonker.
And when it comes to production, the use of music and sound effects is minimal. The show is honestly kind of quiet. It feels a little more like a documentary instead of standard reality television. It weirdly reminds me of National Geographic. Like, there's a lot of whispering for some reason.
The team may not be up to this, and if it goes wrong, I may look a right tosser.
Yeah. We had an absolute nightmare night last night.
But overall, the show feels genuine and wholesome. And by 2005, Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares had gained a strong following. The style of the show, along with Gordon's duality, made for a unique and engaging viewer experience. And critics loved the show too. That same year, the show won a BAFTA for Best Features, and the British Academy praised the show for being a fresh and factual series. And in 2004, it won an International Emmy for Best Non-Scripted Entertainment. Winning both of these was pretty significant because in the early 2000s, it was somewhat rare for a reality format show to win such highly prestigious awards. But it's like Ramsay's Kitchen Nightmares was in a league of its own. And among other reality shows, it stood out because of its focus on real people and real world problems. Now, after the success of the British Kitchen Nightmares, Fox came in and Murica'd all over it. They had to switch things up. They were producing it for an American audience, and Americans don't want calm self-reflection. We want meltdowns. Plus, US networks do rely heavily on advertising revenue, which is directly tied to viewership. Basically, the networks make money from advertisers paying to have their commercials play between shows, and advertisers don't want to waste money on shows that people aren't watching because not enough people are gonna see the ads and buy their product. So these networks had to find a way to glue people to their screens and keep them from changing the channel. And as proved time and time again, people are drawn to conflict.
Because you message drama channels!
Reality TV was already super popular at the time, and at this point, Fox was known for its really chaotic reality shows like Hell's Kitchen and American Idol. So if they took this solid concept of Kitchen Nightmares and put their own toxic spin on it, then it would be sure to replicate the success of other American reality shows. And that's exactly what happened. Not only did the show find massive success in the United States, but it's also more known globally than the British one, which makes perfect sense because the American version had a larger budget to work with, more episodes per season, and most importantly, it was designed for viewership. While the UK version focused on real problem solving and recorded the process, the American show prioritized entertainment first. Episodes were faster paced, the music was more dramatic, it had louder arguments, more breakdowns, even Gordon himself seems angrier than he is on the British version. And a lot of that can be attributed to the deliberate editing and manipulation of scenes to make them seem more intense. You know, as much as they can while still technically being reality TV. Almost every single episode follows the exact same formula. We start off with a problem, conflict peaks, and then things get resolved, and as far as the audience is aware, we get a happy ending. It's rare that episodes don't follow this exact story arc, but on occasion, it did happen, and because the audience isn't expecting anything different, it can be even more compelling. And the crazier the episode, the better it did. There's a reason why Amy's Baking Company is the most known episode, and it had nothing to do with turning them into a great restaurant. People loved the episode because it's outrageous. We love watching delusional people, we can't help it. That episode came out in 2013, and Kitchen Nightmares as a whole was doing great. The show had been well liked for several years, and it had steady viewership. Yet, the following year, in 2014, the show came to an end. And this seemed really weird because interest in the show was still high, and ratings weren't going down or anything. It's not every day that a successful show gets cancelled, but Kitchen Nightmares wasn't cancelled by the network. The decision was actually Gordon Ramsay's. In an interview held about a month after the show ended, he said that after 10 years of doing both versions of Kitchen Nightmares, he had enough. The immediate cause for his abrupt decision was his frustration with combative owners. He was sick of their bad attitudes, especially considering they were the ones who wanted help in the first place. And that matches up with the fights on the show.
You are so in denial. You need therapy.
So at least we know that part is real. But his health also played a big part in his choice to leave the show. He said that because of the food at these restaurants, he would get food poisoning and stomach ulcers, which, I mean, isn't that shocking considering what he would find in those kitchens and the way that he would react while he tried to eat the food that he was served. But apparently, the impact on his body was so bad that he would walk around with indigestion pills in his pockets, which is something he never had to do before the show. And he said he just wanted to rest and go back to eating normally. Besides not getting sick, he also mentioned that he really wants to enjoy restaurants again, rather than having to worry about helping them succeed. After filming Kitchen Nightmares as long as he did, he realized that he was going to burn out, and that he was already starting to, and this pushed him to pull the plug on production. In the same interview, he addresses everyone's desire for the show to come back, but reiterates that his health and body come first. And while acknowledging that the show had been a fantastic experience, he said that it was time to move on and try something new. He did, however, refer to the situation as a hiatus rather than a permanent end to the reality series. And he seemed excited at the idea of eventually coming back, fully rested and twice as strong. But first, he wanted 1 whole year with no stomach ulcers, which seems like a reasonable request. And this statement implied to viewers that perhaps the show was coming back sooner rather than later. But as time went on, it became clear that that wasn't gonna happen. His break went on for several years, and all the while he was still working on other shows like Hell's Kitchen, MasterChef, and Hotel Hell, which was very reminiscent of Kitchen Nightmares, but with a little extra spice.
Has this thing ever been washed?
Fans became less and less hopeful that Kitchen Nightmares would ever return. And then in 2023, when everyone was least expecting it, Fox announced that Kitchen Nightmares would be revived and that Gordon Ramsay would be back to abusing his body for our entertainment. Now you'd think that it was Gordon's decision to finally start doing the show again since he was the one that wanted the break, but the delay in the show's return wasn't entirely his choice. In fact, he had actually admitted several times that ending the show might have been the wrong call. The first instance was in 2017, when he told the press that he was wrong to pull the show off the air and that he misses it sometimes. But the show still wasn't coming back anytime soon, and it seems the network was more interested in exploring alternatives rather than rebooting the show, because in 2018, they came out with a new television series called 24 Hours to Hell and Back, which I've literally never heard of in my life. And I only found out about this while researching for this video. It's pretty much the exact same concept as Kitchen Nightmares. Like, his whole job is to save a failing restaurant, but they've got to do it in just 24 hours. Oh, and Gordon wears a disguise. I don't know, man. I skimmed through an episode, and yeah, it seems pretty similar, but it never achieved the same status as Kitchen Nightmares and was canceled after only 2 years. After the end of 24 Hours to Hell and Back, that is a mouthful, Gordon Ramsay was still expressing regret over Kitchen Nightmares, and in 2021 he again said that in a moment of exhaustion and frustration he probably made a rash decision, and that he believed that Kitchen Nightmares should have never stopped. 2 years after this confession, his wishes were granted and Kitchen Nightmares was back on the air. Aside from Gordon's desire that the show return, he also stated that a large reason the show came back was because restaurants were struggling, especially after the impact of the... YouTube's weird about that word, but you know what I'm talking about. Oh, and I mean, let's be honest, Kitchen Nightmares made the network a lot of money. Even all these years later, people are still fascinated with the show. So, I mean, there's gotta be a financial incentive as well. They're just not gonna say it. But the question is, did they take a little too much time to return? Or is the new version just as good? I watched 2 episodes from the reboot, one from season 8 and one from season 9. Obviously, it wouldn't be fair to judge both of these seasons based on 2 episodes, but that's exactly what I'm gonna do. Overall, the newer seasons are almost identical to the original American Kitchen Nightmares. The first season of the reboot felt a little watered down, but the second is much more reminiscent of the show that we're all used to. I mean, they use different sound effects now. I kind of miss the violin. And they also got rid of the narrator, which I didn't even realize at first, so maybe he wasn't all that necessary. But other than that, they've mostly kept the same format as the original. Gordon hates the food, he sticks his hand in some nasty rotting meat, and then they turn things around and everyone's happy. And yet it just doesn't hit the same way the original did. And I couldn't figure out why. See, at first I thought maybe I'm just not used to watching Kitchen Nightmares without all the pixels, you know? Maybe I'm romanticizing the past and that's why I'm not as interested in the reboot. But after watching these 2 episodes, I went back and watched an older one, and that's when I realized what the newer seasons are missing, and it's toxicity. The older version is just so intense. I mean, when you think of Kitchen Nightmares, you think of people screaming at each other, throwing things, trying to fight customers. The reboot is more reminiscent of the UK version of the show rather than the older American version. It feels a little less fake, a little less edited for the sake of crafting drama, but that also makes it less interesting to watch. I don't know what that says about me. As dramatic as the original American version is, it helps create a captivating story. We live for a redemption arc. We love seeing that these villains are actually just scared people who need some help. And that makes us root for them even harder. But with the new version, the happy endings don't hit as hard because to the viewer, things never seem that bad to begin with. Will the reboot be as successful as the older version? Only time will tell. So far, viewership is much lower than the original at its peak, but they're doing good enough. And honestly, as a society, we've grown way too attached to negativity, so a healthier version of the show might be for the better, or maybe Fox will just ramp up the crazy to match the original. I guess we'll see. Anyway, I made a beef Wellington because Gordon Ramsay. Okay, bye.